The vast emptiness of space stretched endlessly, a black canvas punctuated by distant starlight. The U.S. Prometheus cut through the cosmic silence, a sleek metallic predator moving with calculated precision. Captain David Kim sat in the command chair, his dark eyes scanning the holographic displays that flickered with streams of data. First Officer Jai Park stood at the tactical station, her fingers dancing across multiple sensor panels. The ship's interior hummed with a quiet intensity, a testament to the advanced technology that humanity had developed over decades of interstellar exploration. Long-range sensors are picking up something unusual, Jay announced, her voice steady and professional. A cluster of unusual energy signatures was emerging from the distant star system ahead. These weren't like any readings they had encountered before. David leaned forward, his military training kicking in. He had spent years navigating the complex political landscapes of deep space exploration, but something about this moment felt different. The sensors were showing a mix of signals that suggested an advanced civilization, but one completely unknown to human records. The bridge crew worked silently, each member focused on their specific tasks. Young technicians and seasoned veterans alike understood the potential significance of this moment. This could be first contact with an entirely new species. Prepare communication protocols, David ordered. Standard diplomatic approach, multiple frequency bands, universal translation algorithms activated. Jay nodded, her fingers moving swiftly across the communication console. The ship's advanced translation systems began broadcasting mathematical sequences, universal mathematical constants, and basic scientific principles, a universal language that any advanced civilization might understand. Minutes passed. The tension on the bridge grew thick enough to cut with a knife. Every crew member knew the potential risks. Space was not just an empty void, but a complex ecosystem of potential threats and unknown civilizations. Suddenly, the sensors erupted with activity. Multiple energy signatures began to emerge from what seemed like a hidden cluster near a distant planetary system. These weren't just random signals. They were coordinated, organized, and definitely artificial. "Captain, we're detecting multiple vessels," Jay reported. Her voice remained calm, but David could detect a slight edge of excitement. "Configuration does not match any known human or previously documented alien designs." The approaching vessels were unlike anything in human galactic records. They moved with a fluid grace that suggested both advanced technology and a biological elegance. Their structures seemed to shimmer, almost as if they were constructed from living materials rather than traditional metal and composites. David studied the tactical displays. The alien vessels were clearly aware of the Prometheus. They were positioning themselves in a formation that suggested both curiosity and potential defensive readiness. It was a dance of technological prowess and calculated caution. "No aggressive movements detected," Jay confirmed, "but they're definitely watching us." The captain's mind raced through potential scenarios. First contact situations were delicate, complex interactions that could determine the future of two entire civilizations. One wrong move could spark a conflict, or alternatively, open up unprecedented opportunities for understanding. The ship's computer began processing the incoming signals. Strange, geometric patterns and complex mathematical sequences started forming on the secondary displays. It was like watching an intricate language being constructed in real time, a communication method so advanced it challenged human comprehension. "Run full spectrum analysis," David commanded. "I want to know everything about these signals." The next few moments would potentially change human understanding of the universe forever. The U.S. Prometheus, a symbol of human exploration and technological achievement, hung in space, a single point of light facing an unknown civilization that could be either humanity's greatest discovery or its most significant threat. The alien vessels continued their measured approach, their movements suggesting an intelligence that was both familiar and entirely alien. They weren't rushing, weren't attacking. They were observing, analyzing, understanding. Just another day in humanity's journey through the cosmos. Would you like me to elaborate on any specific aspect of this first contact scenario? I've used simple English and focused on creating an intriguing narrative that captures the tension and potential of first contact. The silence on the bridge of the U.S. Prometheus became electric with tension. Captain David Kim watched as the alien vessels continued their precise, almost choreographed approach. Their surfaces seemed to shift and shimmer, defying traditional understanding of spacecraft design. Communication channels are active, J. Park reported, her hands moving quickly across the holographic displays. They're attempting multiple transmission methods. Strange symbols began flickering across the main screen. They weren't simple text or traditional communication signals, but complex geometric patterns that seemed to pulse with an inner life. The ship's advanced translation systems worked overtime, trying to decode the alien language. Suddenly, a voice emerged. It was neither mechanical nor completely organic, something in between. Clear words formed, spoken with a strange rhythm that suggested both intelligence and caution. Unidentified vessel. You have entered restricted spatial territory of the Galactic Concordance. State your purpose. David exchanged a quick glance with Ja. The message was direct, almost militaristic. These weren't peaceful explorers. They were a civilization with clear boundaries and strict protocols. This is Captain David Kim of the United Earth Exploration Fleet. He responded carefully. We are on a peaceful scientific mission of exploration and cultural exchange. The alien response came faster this time. Explanation insufficient. Your vessel design suggests advanced weaponry. Your approach indicates potential strategic movement. The alien ships began to subtly reposition. Their movement was synchronized, like a single organism thinking with multiple minds. Each vessel seemed capable of responding to collective threats with incredible speed and precision. Jay's tactical display showed charging energy signatures. The aliens were preparing defensive capabilities, but not actively attacking. It was a warning posture, a clear message of potential consequences. They're giving us a chance to explain, David muttered, but they're ready to fight if necessary. The next few moments would determine everything. Human diplomatic training had prepared crews for first contact scenarios, but no simulation could capture the raw intensity of actually facing an unknown civilization. The alien vessels maintained a perfect geometric formation around the Prometheus. Their energy signatures suggested technology far beyond current human understanding. They weren't just ships, they were living systems, adaptive and intelligent. We carry scientific research equipment, David continued, keeping his voice calm. No offensive capabilities are active. We seek knowledge and potential mutual understanding. Another pause. The geometric symbols continued dancing across the communication screens, complex and mesmerizing. It was like watching a living language communicate, not just words, but entire concepts transferred through visual patterns. The alien response came with a hint of what might have been curiosity. Your vessel's design contradicts your statement. Defensive systems are clearly advanced. Explain. David knew this was a critical moment. Humans had a reputation in this part of the galaxy, a species that combined technological advancement with unexpected complexity. They weren't just another exploration fleet. They were something different. Our defensive capabilities exist to protect scientific missions, he explained. We do not seek conflict, but we will defend ourselves if threatened. The alien ships seemed to pulse in response. It was almost like they were thinking, analyzing, processing the human communication at speeds beyond normal comprehension. Jay's tactical display showed multiple scenarios, potential conflict paths, diplomatic resolution routes, defensive strategies. Each possibility was calculated with millisecond precision. The universe held its breath. One misunderstood signal, one wrong communication could spark a conflict that might reshape galactic politics forever. First contact was never simple. And for the crew of the U.S. Prometheus, this moment would become a defining point in human exploration history. Would you like me to continue or elaborate on any specific aspect of this initial encounter scenario? I've maintained simple English and focused on creating a tense, intriguing narrative about first contact. The tension on the bridge of the U.S. Prometheus reached a breaking point. The alien vessels continued their calculated positioning, their energy signatures building to a dangerous level. Captain David Kim knew they were moments away from a potential conflict that could reshape interstellar relations. Tactical analysis, David commanded, his voice steady and controlled. Judpark's fingers moved across the holographic displays. Alien vessels charging weapon systems, multiple energy signatures building. They're preparing for a potential offensive action. The first alien weapon discharge came without warning. A brilliant blue-white energy beam sliced through space, targeting the Prometheus's port side. Most crews would have panicked. This crew did not. "Shields at maximum," David called out. The ship's advanced defensive systems absorbed the energy blast, creating a momentary shimmer of protective light around the vessel. The alien communication channel crackled with what might have been surprise. They clearly expected their first strike to cause significant damage. David knew this was the moment humanity would be judged, not just as a species, but as a potential galactic power. The response had to be precise, controlled, and absolutely decisive. "Tactical response," he ordered. "Minimum force. Disable, do not destroy." The Prometheus's weapon systems were nothing like traditional military hardware. They were surgical instruments of technological precision. Within milliseconds, targeted energy pulses began striking the alien vessels. Each pulse was carefully calculated. They didn't destroy, they neutralized. Propulsion systems went offline. Communication arrays went dark. Defensive capabilities were systematically dismantled without causing critical damage. 3 alien vessels drifted helplessly in space, their advanced technology suddenly rendered useless. They hadn't been destroyed. They had been completely and utterly controlled. The message was clear. Humans could eliminate these ships in an instant. They chose not to. Jay's tactical display showed the complete battlefield transformation. What had started as a potential conflict was now a demonstration of overwhelming technological superiority. "Communication channels remain open," she reported. The alien vessels showed no signs of additional aggressive action. Captain Kim watched the disabled ships. Each represented an entire civilization's technological achievement. And yet, they had been neutralized with surgical precision that suggested something beyond mere military might. The alien communication systems began transmitting again. But this time, the tone was different. No longer aggressive. Now there was something close to respect. "Unprecedented response," the alien communication system reported. Its language algorithms seemed confused, struggling to process what had just occurred. David understood the deeper strategy. This wasn't about destruction. This was about demonstrating capability while showing restraint. Humanity was sending a message about its technological and philosophical approach to conflict. The bridge crew remained calm, professionally monitoring systems, tracking potential responses, ready for any scenario. They weren't celebrating. They were waiting. Space remained silent except for the subtle hum of the Prometheus's systems. 3 alien vessels floated helplessly, their crews likely experiencing a profound psychological moment of realization. Humanity had just shown that true power wasn't about destruction. It was about control, precision, and the ability to choose mercy. The demonstration was complete. The message was sent. Now, they would wait for the response. Would you like me to elaborate on any specific aspect of this force demonstration scenario? I've maintained simple English and focused on creating a tense, intriguing narrative about technological superiority and strategic communication. The aftermath of the Prometheus's demonstration rippled through alien communication networks like a shock wave. Information traveled faster than light, carrying with it the story of humanity's unprecedented display of technological control. Alien communication centers buzzed with confusion and fear. The disabled ships represented more than just a military loss. They were a fundamental challenge to everything the Galactic Concordance understood about potential threats. Commander Rillick sat in the central communication hub, reviewing the transmitted data. His tentacle-like appendages moved across holographic displays, analyzing every millisecond of the encounter. Humans were not just another species. They were something entirely different. We underestimated them, Rillick muttered to his senior advisors. The video recording showed a level of restraint that was almost more terrifying than outright aggression. The human ship could have destroyed everything. Instead, it chose surgical precision. Psychological profiles of human behavior began flooding communication networks. Research teams worked frantically, trying to understand this new species that had suddenly appeared in their carefully controlled galactic region. The humans had not just neutralized ships, they had completely dismantled the psychological narrative of galactic power dynamics. One small vessel had demonstrated capabilities that challenged centuries of established understanding. Communication intercepts revealed something even more unsettling. The human crew remained calm throughout the entire encounter. No excitement, no celebration. Just professional, calculated response. They treated our most advanced vessels like a technical problem to be solved, one alien analyst reported. The implications were profound. This wasn't just a military encounter. This was a fundamental reshaping of interstellar understanding. Diplomatic channels began preparing potential communication strategies. How do you approach a species that can neutralize your most advanced technology without breaking a sweat? The human ship, the Prometheus, continued to hold its position. No additional movements, no aggressive actions, just waiting. The psychological pressure was immense. Rillick understood the deeper game being played. The humans were allowing the psychological impact to spread. Every moment of silence was another moment for alien civilizations to process what had just happened. Communication networks began sharing the encounter. Some saw it as a threat. Others saw it as a potential opportunity. But no one could ignore the fundamental shift that had just occurred. The human ship represented something new, not just a military force, not just an exploration vessel, but a species capable of absolute technological control, combined with a choice of restraint. Alien research teams began pulling every available piece of information about humans: cultural records, historical documents, technological research. They needed to understand this new variable in the galactic equation. The psychological warfare was subtle but profound. The humans hadn't fired a continuous weapon. They hadn't destroyed anything. They had simply demonstrated that they could, if they chose to. Commander Rillick knew the real battle was happening in the minds of galactic leaders, not on physical battlefields, but in communication centers, diplomatic halls, and strategic planning rooms. Humanity had just rewritten the rules of first contact, and they had done it with a calm, professional demonstration that was more terrifying than any direct attack. The Prometheus continued to wait. Silent, powerful, undefined. Would you like me to elaborate on any specific aspect of this psychological warfare scenario? I've maintained simple English and focused on creating an intriguing narrative about the psychological impact of technological superiority. The communication channel crackled to life unexpectedly. Captain David Kim watched as the alien diplomatic lead, a being named Heron, appeared on the main screen. Unlike previous transmissions, this image carried a different tone, one of cautious respect. "Humans," Heron began, "we request direct communication." David's response was measured. "We are listening." The alien's communication translated with surprising clarity. "Your demonstration was not typical of species we have encountered. You showed capability without complete destruction." On the bridge, First Officer Jai Park monitored every subtle signal. The diplomatic dance was delicate, requiring precision and understanding beyond simple verbal communication. Heron continued, "Our initial scan suggested your vessel entered our territory with potential aggressive intentions. Your response challenged our understanding." David understood the deeper meaning. This wasn't just about territory. This was about challenging established galactic power dynamics. Humans represented an unknown variable, technologically advanced, strategically intelligent, yet surprisingly restrained. "We seek knowledge," David explained, "not conflict." The alien communication systems processed his words, running multiple translation and contextual algorithms. The geometric symbols that had previously represented alien communication now seemed more fluid, more adaptive. Rillick, watching from the alien communication center, realized something profound was happening. The humans weren't following any expected diplomatic protocol. They were creating something entirely new. "We have historical records of species entering new territories," Heron stated. "Most bring conflict. You bring curiosity." The Prometheus remained perfectly positioned, no aggressive movements, no additional displays of technological superiority. Just presence, just potential. Jay's tactical displays showed multiple scenarios, potential conflict paths, diplomatic resolution routes, each possibility calculated with millisecond precision. But the most likely outcome was becoming increasingly clear: negotiation. "We propose a cultural exchange," David suggested. The words were simple. The implications were massive. Alien research teams across multiple communication networks began analyzing every aspect of the transmission. The humans weren't just offering communication. They were offering understanding. Heron's response took several minutes. When it came, it carried a tone of genuine curiosity. "Explain your terms of exchange." David outlined a proposal that would reshape galactic interaction protocols, scientific data sharing, technological knowledge exchange, mutual exploration agreements, not as a conquest, but as a partnership. The alien communication systems processed the proposal. Complex algorithms ran through potential outcomes, risk assessments, cultural implications. What seemed like a simple suggestion was actually a sophisticated diplomatic maneuver. Rillick watched the unfolding communication with a mixture of fear and fascination. The humans weren't just another species. They were a force that could reshape entire galactic understanding. "We accept preliminary discussions," Heron finally responded. The bridge of the Prometheus remained calm. No celebration, no excitement, just professional acknowledgement of a potentially historic moment. Space remained silent. The disabled alien vessels still drifted nearby, a constant reminder of the technological capabilities that had made this moment possible. First contact had transformed from a potential conflict into an opportunity for mutual understanding, and humanity had done it without firing a single destructive weapon. The universe watched and waited. "Would you like me to elaborate on any specific aspect of this unexpected negotiation scenario?" I've maintained simple English and focused on creating an intriguing narrative about diplomatic complexity and technological diplomacy.